Right, come on, you four-eyed fat-faced fool. Tell us what's going to be in the new podcast from the two Mikes.
Well, plenty of buffoonery from you and lots of sense from me. What else?
Look at the light!
Hey, hey, hey!
What? Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo.
Hey, hey, hey!
This is TalkSport Extra Time. We are the two Mikes. It is Good Friday. It is Easter weekend. Proper football is back, and it's time to say a very, very good morning and a happy Easter to Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Very good morning to you, Mike. Thank you very much indeed. We must start talking about Brendan Rodgers, Liverpool, Raheem Sterling. We were the first on the ball last night to say Raheem Sterling could be heading for Chelsea.
We certainly were.
That is endorsed on the back pages of all the papers this morning. But before we get into that subject and the football that we're going to cover on TalkSport this weekend, and other worldly issues which we have to deal with on this show.
Right.
There's one very important issue here which I've got to bring to the attention of our listeners.
Oh, yeah.
I've got to take action. At the end of this show, I've got to get in my car, get down to the coast and take action.
Well, good luck, because the roads are going to be absolutely gridlocked, I think, aren't they?
I'm going straight after 4 o'clock here when the roads won't be gridlocked. I've got to get to the coast. There's an emergency action is required.
Why?
Well, you know that I've told you that I was very, very pleased to note that a few hundred yards away from my penthouse in Gosport, they are building a little supermarket.
Yeah. It must be nearly finished by now, mustn't it?
It is nearly finished. Last time I was there, it was nearly finished. Guess what? I've just seen a report. If you have a little supermarket within a few hundred yards of your house, the value of your house could go down 12%.
12%?
12%.
Blimey.
If you've got a Waitrose within a few hundred yards of your house...
I'll take it down to about 70 grand, won't it? I'll take it down to about 70 grand.
Per room?
Down there.
Per room?
Well, I've seen your council tax bill, which you tweeted out. You tweeted out your council tax bill a few weeks ago.
Only the top bit. I didn't tweet out how much
but
it was.
It said what band it was, though.
Oh, yeah.
And it said band D.
Yeah, that's right.
And it said, and I know that these are all figures from the 90s, but it said something like 30 to 35,000, didn't it?
No.
Something like that.
Are you mad?
Some kind of hovel you've got down there.
Are you mad?
Yeah.
That property, you wouldn't... I tell you what, you couldn't buy 4 of those for £1 million.
Well, I've got £1 million.
Couldn't buy 3 for them you could buy probably 3 of them for £1 million. That gives you some hint of the worth of it.
So you're saying it's worth 300,000 then?
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just telling you that,
in which case, if you've lost 12% now that Lidl's been built there, that's quite a big chunk of change.
That's 36 grand.
Yeah.
Good God, it's no wonder I want to get down to I'm going to get some placards and start walking up and down in front of the council offices. How dare they? How dare they allow a little supermarket to be imposed upon me?
Well, if you got a better supermarket, like a Waitrose, your property values would go up, wouldn't they?
They go up by 12%.
Yeah,
That's the point.
So if
they build a Waitrose, I could be 36 grand in clover now.
I know. Look how annoyed you are.
God,
fantastic.
God, this is a nightmare.
Now, have you forgotten anything?
Why me? Why me?
Have you forgotten anything, by the way?
Happy Easter.
No, well, happy Easter, yeah. But
Happy Good Friday.
Have you left anything outside? You haven't brought anything in the studio?
What?
Have you not brought anything with you? A gift of any kind?
Oh, the Easter egg?
Have you brought me an Easter egg?
No.
Why not?
I was going to, but the traffic was so bad on the way in tonight. Traffic was so bad.
That's the worst excuse of all time. They've been selling Easter eggs for about the last month.
Well, I was going to get you on tonight because you know why?
Why?
I fear that the first Easter eggs that come on the market, like a month ago, 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, have probably been in storage for 12 months.
Could be, yeah.
So I decided I'll wait till the day and get a fresh one for you. Okay?
Oh, thank you.
But I didn't get it. Well, I didn't get it. I'm sorry. But listen, I'll tell you what I'm going to get you.
What are you going to get me?
I'm going to get you a packet of hot cross buns.
Oh, really?
I've bought 12 packets.
Have you?
I've got 72 hot cross buns at home.
Why have you got 72?
I love them. I'll be eating them now all next week.
Well, you can't. Do you toast them?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, well, yeah.
You've got to be careful. If they get stuck, don't stick that knife in again. You'll blow up the thing.
You're right. And I tell you what, the other thing is, I have to shake the toaster every time I put the hot cross buns in because the currents drop out, go to the bottom, and then you could set fire to your house if a current suddenly bursts into flames.
So then you have to remove the tray?
Yeah, remove the tray.
And then eat the current separately? Or
No,
do you have them back in?
I don't actually like the currants. The currants are a bit of the hot cross buns I don't actually like. Yeah. What I love is the toasty effect of the toasted hot cross bun.
And what do you put on them? Just butter?
Yeah, just butter,
butter, yeah.
I love the marzipan stuff which makes up the cross, okay?
It's not really marzipan, is it?
What is it then?
It's not marzipan, it's a special kind of
I think it's marzipan.
Because I used to make hot cross buns in the bakery.
Oh, of course you did. Of course you're an expert on baking because you worked in a blinking bakery.
For many years,
Yeah, as a baker's boy and just loaded the stuff into the van or something like that.
I did all sorts of jobs.
But you didn't even cook anything.
Oh, I did actually,
I bet you didn't.
I used to make mince pies, used to make croissants.
Mince pies.
My speciality was fruit.
Croissant.
My speciality was fruit flans, actually.
Fruit flan.
Chocolate gatto.
Give me a load of flan, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'll be eating hot cross buns all over the weekend.
So
I
you're
love
going to
them.
get... Yeah, but you can't eat... So it
love
can't
them.
be good for you to eat 72
Well,
hot cross
I give them
buns.
away as
That's like
presents.
12 a day over the course of...
No.
It's more than 12 a day, actually.
I could eat up to certainly 6 hot cross buns a day.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Well, 6 hot cross buns a day over 4 days, only 24.
Yeah, OK, but I will eat them all next week. So if you say 7 days...
Well, yeah, but why do you buy them all at once? They'll be stale.
No, I like them. I love them. They've all got sell-by dates on them, which last nearly a week.
Yeah, right.
Because they actually... because of the preservatives in them, they preserve.
If they do go stale, you can always give them to the down-and-outs to go along with their stale lager that you gave them last month.
You can feed them to the ducks.
No,
ducks like them.
No, you must not feed them to the ducks.
No, they do. They like them. They like them, believe me.
No, that's even worse than giving them bread.
No. I'm an expert on duckery, so don't worry about that, mate. Yeah, I know all about it.
I know what you're saying.
So don't worry. But listen, what I was going to say is, I mean, we're talking to this chap later who's been crucified on the cross. Sorry,
it's just talking to a guy who's been crucified. It sounds ridiculous, but it's true.
Yeah. In which,
try not to say that word while I'm drinking water.
Here we are. Considering we're on a John Lennon beat at the moment because of Cynthia.
Listen, you can't keep mentioning John Lennon.
All right.
Do you know, I've actually had a tweet from somebody who said, if you don't mention John Lennon, I will actually donate to charity.
Okay, well, that's handy.
It's too late. You've already done it.
No, but
how can you get John Lennon into the first 10 minutes of this show?
Because we're talking about Easter.
Yeah.
Easter was the crucifixion.
Yeah.
We're going to talk to a bloke who was crucified.
Yeah. What's that got to do with the Beatles?
What was the famous line in the ballad of John and Ono?
Oh, yeah, I suppose he did mention it, didn't he?
The way things are going, they're going to crucify me. Bam, 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 bam.
Only you could make that kind of tenuous connection with John Lennon.
It's not tenuous. It was a line in one of the most famous John Lennon songs. And in fact, I can tell you that was the last ever Beatles song.
Was it?
So it is worth recording that for posterity and history.
I'm going to record this, all right, which is that we're now, from this point on, we're going to ban any mention of John Lennon and the Beatles for the foreseeable future. So can you please not mention them? Because
unless it's relevant. Unless it's relevant.
That's not relevant.
It is relevant. And by the way, I've got to tell you the story I forgot to tell you. About Julian Lennon. So that's not John Lennon, Julian Lennon. Julian Lennon, okay? You know...
It's a nightmare.
Yeah, obviously, he's the surviving member of the family now because he was Cynthia's son.
That's right.
She's died, right? Yeah. You won't believe this, Mike, but when I was a reporter on the Daily Express, and it was...
I probably won't believe it, neither will anybody else.
It was the year after Lennon was assassinated and killed in New York.
Yeah. Can you not refer to him as something else, like he or
the Beatle.
Him?
The Beatle.
The Beatle, all right, I'll take that.
Okay, it was a year afterwards. All of a sudden, we all piled down to North Wales to a minor court case in a magistrate's court in which a youth was being done for tearing some planks out of a fence, chopping up and setting fire to them to make planks out of a fence. You know what a plank is?
Yeah, I do. I'm looking at one.
That's right. I was just about to say, you offensively send me the little title,
#plank,
all the time.
Yeah.
You think you're clever, but you're not. People despise you for that.
Yeah.
You're a despised individual. And what I was going to say is, this youth, right, he chopped up the wood and he set fire for a campfire in the forest with his mates.
Okay.
The youth in person happened to be Julian Lennon.
Oh, really?
And he was 17. Right. And do you know what I most remember about him, Mike? His mates decided to treat him like a massive pop star, you know? Yeah. So what they did was, it's no joke, they formed their own sort of Praetorian Guard and started pushing us reporters around. They were all about 16 or 17.
Must have loved it.
And, people like, like Chris Boffey and people like that, 6'4" and all that, being pushed around, give him some distance, leave him alone. Like he was some pop star. But the funniest thing was, when the case was over and he got fined like 10 shillings or something, or £2 or something like that, he came out. The Praetorian Guard surrounding around him.
Do you mean Praetorian Guard?
Yeah, Praetorian Guard, right. Ushered him to the edge of the path away from the court.
So
and
they could make a statement.
No, it's better than that. And then this roaring noise. Some kid had got an old Vauxhall Viva, and I know all about Vauxhall Vivas because I'd had one about 10 years earlier or something. Well, not 10 years, 3 years earlier. Yeah. And the Vauxhall Viva rushes up, and then one of the Praetorian Guard opens the door, tries to hustles him in, and then the old driver got overexcited, let the clutch out too quick, stalled the car, and they couldn't restart it. It was so hilarious.
And all the photographers were getting everything they wanted.
Exactly. We were all falling around laughing and all that. But anyway,
absolutely
that's
unbelievable.
Just a tale from the past.
Yes.
That's the way we used to do it in tabloid newspapers, not the way they do it today.
Yeah, I know. People call it rock. People started calling you and mine stories rock and roll journalism.
Rock and roll journalism.
Because we've got a massive music star coming up later on in the show. Just after you've gone. It's a guy called Steve Lillywhite, who you might not know.
Lillywhite?
He's a big record producer. He produced the 3 first U2 albums. He produced Fairy Tale of New York.
You saying that?
Massive guy, big Chelsea fan.
Fairy Tale of New York?
Yeah,
with Kirsty...
He was her husband.
Kirsty
McCall.
He's Kirsty McCall's husband.
He was her husband, yeah.
Utterly fantastic.
And he used to produce the Pogues, and it was his idea to actually get her to sing the vocal part on that song.
Oh, was it?
And
right.
Of course, now it's one of the biggest selling Christmas songs of all time.
And what was the name of the guy with the teeth?
That was, what's his name from the Pogues, wasn't
yes.
it? What's his name? I can't remember.
Well, I don't know. You should know.
I should know, yeah, but he's left me.
You see, empty-headed again.
You're having this effect on me.
You know what it's like, folks, working with an empty-headed individual?
I do. I know exactly what that's like. I know exactly what it's like.
Empty vessels make the most noise.
That's what they do say. Now, we've got to talk about Raheem Sterling. We've got to talk about Everton. We've got to talk about a great many things because it's Premier League action all the way now between now and the end of the season because it's getting down to the wire. We've got to tell everybody because we were able to tweet it out a little bit earlier on.
Yeah.
There is now a ticket site open for our first show in Portsmouth, which is on May the 30th.
Yes.
So follow at the two Mikes, at Mike Parry, at IROMG. And if you haven't seen it yet, we will be pushing it out during the course of the show and all over the Easter weekend, of course.
That's right. And can I just add to that, please, that I'm absolutely overwhelmed by the response. And already I was talking to people who are going from London down to Portsmouth to make a weekend of it, to go to the show at the Guildhall. However, we were going to announce...
tie in a visit to your luxury penthouse apartment.
Well, that's on the other side of the water, but I mean, they'll be able to see it through their binoculars. It's worth looking at.
Yeah, before it gets demolished for being worth nothing.
That's right, because it's near the new little supermarket. Yeah. But on June the 7th, we are doing our biggest show in London yet, 280 seats at a major London theatre. Can't tell you which one it is yet, because contractually we're not able to actually start selling tickets there until next week, but it'll be a great show.
Yeah, it will be a great show, yeah.
And I just want to say to you, if you're thinking of going down to Portsmouth, it'd be lovely to see you, no problem at all. But if you're travelling all the way from London, a week after we do the Portsmouth show, we will be doing one in London.
Why not come to both? We'll be at both of them, won't we?
Yeah, we will indeed, yeah.
Hopefully
we'd love to see you both, but just don't want you to feel that we're pulling the wool over your eyes.
Now, I've got a text here from someone who doesn't give a name. He said, a little bringing the price of Porky's mansion down. Let's hope they also open up a JD Sports, a Primark and a Greggs. That will bring all the unwashed, boozed up, I don't want to say, types into the area.
Good God, that's a bit harsh.
Yeah.
Do you see a story the other day that the second biggest, what's the sausage roll place called?
Greggs.
The second biggest Greggs in this country is inside the hospital in, is that right? Leeds or Nottingham?
Really?
Yeah, whichever hospital it is.
Well, they've got the franchise now.
They've got the franchise and they've got an in-house, Greggs.
What, you know, I mean...
A concession?
Concession,
yes, or something like that, right.
And I was going to say refectory, but that's the wrong word.
No, it's a concession, and whichever hospital it is...
What puzzles me about hospitals is why the food is so bad in hospitals. I mean, surely they should be giving you decent food.
Well, do you know what? I'm saying is they sell more pies in this hospital, one in Greggs, than anywhere else in the country, bar one. I was in hospital for 7 months, and do you know what? At Harefield, I never had cause to complain about the food once.
Well, that's almost like... Is that an NHS place?
It's NHS, yeah.
Well, you're not in a private suite, though.
Well, I wasn't in a private... I was in my own room, but you have to be, because you're fixed up to all sorts of heart machines and things.
Well, nobody would want to share a room with you, would they?
Well...
Constantly with all these people, well-wishers coming in all the time, bringing you gifts.
Well, I think it's more...
Wayne Rooney's shirt.
Well, that's true. I think it's more a case that I didn't really want to share a room with them, you know, because
but why would they take any notice of you, though?
Well, they do. Well, I have influence.
Do you?
And the only thing worth doing when you're tied up to a machine, because it's like being in prison, is actually betting. So I got the racing channel. I got the racing channel put through to my telly.
Recovering from a massive near-death experience.
I know. I got the racing channel put through to my hospital television. I had to get it.
Did you have to pay for the TV?
Yeah, I had to pay for the TV. Yeah. And with a mobile phone, my betting card, my card and the telly. That's all. Because it's very boring lying there doing nothing. You know what I mean? Occasionally Mr. Brazil would ring me up, but apart from that, it was quite difficult.
Quite a lonely existence.
Yeah, but I got
Bill's
through it.
Just reminded us, by the way, it was Shane McGowan, which actually came to me during the break. The trouble with working with you is I'm starting to, your kind of memory loss is starting to rub off on me.
What do you mean memory loss?
Your memory loss, when you can't remember anybody's name. It's now happening to me all the time.
Well,
I think it's a result of sitting next to you for too much time.
I don't think it's a result of that. I think that it's just a general degeneration in your head.
It could be that.
Talking about food there, did you know, and I can't quite work out why this is happening, but IKEA, who are one of the most successful worldwide companies, are now going into the food business, and they're going to sell...
Well, they've been selling food for a while.
What do you mean?
IKEA have been selling food for a while.
What, not food that you buy and take home?
Yes, you can, yeah.
Do they?
Yeah, I mean, every IKEA, as you leave the sort of the cash tills, They've either got like a little cafe, and they've also got a little shop where they sell stuff. They sell very nice marmalade, actually.
Really?
And jam, and they sell meatballs, and they sell all sorts of strange, sort of, funny, Swedish products.
Funny you should mention the meatballs, because obviously I had to do my research into supermarkets, and I found out that this Lidl's place is going to devalue my penthouse apartment on the coast, but they are going to introduce a new vegetarian meatball.
Are they?
Made in Sweden, which is where their homeland is, obviously.
Yeah, right.
And they say it's going to become the biggest selling food in the world.
Well, it could do. I mean, their non-vegetarian meatballs, for want of a better description, are very good.
Really?
And, of course, they were caught up in the horse scandal, weren't they, a year ago or so ago?
Oh, were they?
Yeah, because people found out that there was horse meat in all sorts of different kinds of meat that was being sold in supermarkets, and it turned out that some IKEA meatballs had horse meat in them as well.
Well, this is a huge sort of, I wouldn't say it's a political thing, it's a huge ecological thing, because the report says they're going to get a meat-free makeover, and the purpose of it is to cut carbon emissions by half.
Yeah.
The Swedish firm says producing the new version uses far less energy than making the pork and beef variety, which they already sell.
To say nothing of the horse variety.
Yeah, its veggie balls will be rolled out this month. Yeah, veggie balls. Yeah, veggie balls. The veggie balls will be rolled out this month, created from a secret recipe of chickpeas, peas, carrots, peppers, corn, kale, and seasoning. What on earth is kale?
Kale is like a sort of green cabbagey type thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. IKEA.
It's all the rage. It's very healthy for you. Very good for you.
IKEA is already famous for its meatballs, as you just keep telling me. Yeah. I didn't realise that.
Well, one of the only reasons I could ever be convinced to go to IKEA, because I hate having to go shopping at IKEA because it turns into a whole day affair, and the kids as well, is that we always promise to take them to the cafe where you get meatballs and chips.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's all madness. The chief executive of IKEA is a guy called Peter Agnefjall. Okay,
right.
He's from Sweden.
Yeah, not Holland then.
No, but they speak similarly. And he said the vegetable created. Get this, I think everybody's gone mad in this world. I'm not suggesting Mr. Agnefjall is mad.
Of course not. That wouldn't be right at all.
Exactly, no. But he says it's a big opportunity to be kinder to the environment, as cows and pigs are responsible for huge amounts of methane emissions, while cooking vegetables uses less energy than meat.
Yeah.
I mean, hang on. When did IKEA suddenly get the word from God to save the world?
Yeah, well,
when?
One of the things that's good about IKEA is, I mean, it's nice to have a company that's socially responsible. Though. Rather that than a company that's pumping a load of vile, horrible chemicals into the air just because they want to make a load of money. Isn't that better?
What, you mean like the iron ore industry or something?
Well, the
like
iron ore. Funnily enough, you mentioned iron ore. There's been loads of
people keep asking me about the iron ore industry.
Apparently, the iron ore business has completely collapsed.
Why do they think I'm an expert?
Well, you've completely jinxed it. Ever since you mentioned iron ore, the price has gone through the floor.
Do you know what? If we had Sandra on, and we will have her on probably next week or something like that, the little town in the middle of Australia, which is literally the centre of the iron ore industry, where it all started, and it's called something like Ben Hilton or something. I can't quite remember. Right. But it went like Aberdeen, from nothing to the biggest boom town in Australia.
Right.
And it's now like gone bankrupt or something. You know what I mean?
Because the price of iron ore, since you started mentioning it on this show, has literally done nothing but the dive bomb into the floor.
Yeah,
shocking.
Anyway, getting back to IKEA's health balls, veggie balls. They're
health balls.
Yeah, health balls. Yeah, veggie balls. They're very serious about it. It says the firm has spent 2 years developing the veggie ball. Yeah. And the first innovation to the range since IKEA started selling food to encourage shoppers to stay inside its stores way back in 1959. Right. How about that? They've been selling food since 1959.
Stephen says this: the hardest thing to do at IKEA is to get out, which is actually true. I don't know if you've ever been to an IKEA store.
I have. It's like going to Santa's Grotto. Yeah. You go in one way and you can only come out the other.
But there's also different shortcuts, and you can find yourself, in a terrible mess. Do you remember that story we talked about a couple of weeks ago about people playing hide and seek in IKEA?
I know. Who's that?
And they banned that as well. But I mean, I'll tell you another story. Our executive producer went up to the North London IKEA at one point or other. Up near
is that
Wembley.
Like Brent Cross or something?
Up near Brent Cross, just in the shadow of Wembley Stadium, actually.
Right.
And he brought me back without me asking, but I was very happy that he did. A massive bag of meatballs, which I then kept in my fridge for probably...
These are normal meatballs?
Meatballs.
What do they taste like?
Meatballs.
No, I mean, but in terms of when you compare them, you eat so many meatballs. Well, I think you'd be an expert on them.
They're different from they're Swedish meatballs, basically. Right. And what you normally serve them with is a kind of a gravy and a little bit of jam, right?
Jam?
Which is really nice.
Jam?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's like a sort of raspberry jam.
I thought you'd serve me gravy and chips or something like that.
Well, you have chips with them as well.
Right.
But, the meatballs that I make myself are more kind of Italian flavoured. These have got a slightly different flavour. They're very good, though. Very nice indeed. I recommend them. In fact, it'd be perfect for you because you can get a huge big bag of them and just stick them in the freezer freezer, and then every time you want some, you just take 4 or 5 out, make a bit of pasta. It's very nice.
I've got a fact file here on these meatballs. This is a phenomenon which I was not aware of. Yeah, I was not aware of it.
Health balls.
Yeah, listen to this.
Let's go.
IKEA sells 5 million meatballs a year in the UK alone.
Yeah.
They're so popular, they have their own Facebook page.
Do they?
You know that?
Well, I didn't know that.
Maybe you can find that Facebook page. You're on the show.
I could.
Right, the dish is sold in IKEA canteens for £3.80 and available to take home frozen at £4.35 for a 1 kilo bag.
Yeah.
So what did you get? Did you get a kilo?
Maybe it was a kilo bag, yeah.
So you owe David £4.35.
No, I didn't pay him.
That's
He didn't ask for money.
That's not unusual.
It was a gift.
A gift.
Unlike, he didn't say, oh, sorry, I forgot to buy you something.
Why would our executive producer want to give you a gift?
Well, some people are generous
all
like
the problems you put in that boy's head during a working day.
Because some people are just generous like that. He didn't say, oh, sorry, I was in IKEA and I thought about buying you some meatballs, but I couldn't be bothered, which is what you've just basically effectively told me.
Look, mate, you might still get an Easter egg, but with that sort of attitude,
right.
I'll smash it on your head.
Why don't you get me some more violence thread? Why don't you get me some Ferrero Rocher?
Ferrero Rocher?
Or is there still a shortage?
Well, the shortage is gone now.
It never happened.
No,
it never happened.
Do you know why? Because I alerted the world to the fact it might. Yeah, I'm telling you. Right, it says meatballs are one of Sweden's national dishes and as iconic to Swedes as Volvo cars and ABBA. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I've never seen ABBA on stage saying, meatballs, eat them plenty, they are tasty and Svenny likes them.
I'm not surprised you've never seen them do that.
Well, they've never made a song
awful.
about meatballs. Right, it says IKEA meatballs...
Well, they never made a song about Volvos either.
No, they didn't, that's true. IKEA's meatballs are made with beef and pork. Ooh, that sounds lovely. Although
they're very good.
Traces of horse were found 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, I told you all this. Why are you reading stuff out of the paper that I've already told you?
I'm not reading stuff out of the paper. This is my research document, you idiot. What do you think it is?
Everybody knows that, of course.
Yeah.
Now, can we talk about some football coming up in a bit?
Right, let's do that.
But not yet, though, because coming up next, we're going to be talking to a man by the name of Lasse Spang Olsen, who's a Danish documentary... Danish.
Oh, Danish.
Don't tell him Swedish. They don't like that. Danish documentary maker. He went to the Philippines to make this documentary about people who every single year get themselves crucified because it's a kind of act of religious sort of passion, I guess you might say. Anyway, he ended up getting himself crucified, so we'll find out from him what that actually feels like. Maybe you could do a sponsored crucifixion.
Well, listen, that's not such a mad idea.
That's a great idea.
What I'm saying
that's
is,
the idea I've had all
I'm
night.
so delighted our researchers got this gentleman on because how many people can there be on the face of the earth who've actually been crucified?
Yeah, not that many, I don't think.
Many.
He's Mike Parry, I'm Mike Graham. We're going to talk Easter coming up next.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
The name, but I can't remember a song they made. They never had a top number one hit, did they?
Massive band.
Depeche Mode. What does Depeche Mode mean?
What do you mean? What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Well, it's a kind of a fashion statement. It's French, isn't it?
Depeche Mode?
Yeah.
Depeche Mode.
Fast fashion, perhaps.
Really? Oh, I don't know.
Anyway, let's talk to somebody far more interesting than you.
Yes, let's do that.
This man is a Danish documentary filmmaker, Lasse Spang Olsen, and he went down to the Philippines to make a documentary about this phenomena down there where people nail themselves to crosses by way of a sort of a Christian sacrifice of some kind. And he ended up getting involved in it himself. Lasse, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the show.
Good morning, how are you?
Yeah, very well. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. I have to say, you're the first person I've ever spoken to, on the radio or otherwise, who's ever been crucified.
I'm pleased, thanks.
How did that come about? What made you decide to take part in something that you were actually just supposed to be filming?
Well, it was pretty odd, actually, because when I saw it the first time, I was sure that this was absolutely nothing I would ever be involved in, especially not up there with nails in. But then 3 months after I came home, I was building my chicken house in my garden, and I received an SMS from my interpreter where it said, drink water, there's something wrong with your stomach, nothing else. And, of course, I didn't drink water at that time. And 3 hours later, I was at the hospital because I didn't drink water, and they said I was going to die. So I became pretty scared, of course, and annoyed that I didn't have anybody to talk to because at that
time... And this was after
religious.
You'd come back from filming, was it?
Yeah, first time, yeah. And then I thought about these people on the cross, because what they do up there is actually speaking to God or Jesus or somebody like that. And when I was there at the hospital, knowing that I was going to die, I thought, why don't I speak to God? And I was really annoyed that I was not able to do that because I was not religious. So I said, if I ever survive this, I'm going there because I have received this SMS from there, so there must be something there. I'm going there, I will learn to talk to God. So, of course, I had to be crucified.
Yeah. So you went back as a sort of thank you for your life being saved, and did you communicate with God, Lars?
Yeah, strangely enough, because
Why'd you call him Lars?
Because his name's Lars.
Lasse.
Well,
Lasse, I'm sorry.
Usually English people call me the same as this collie dog from the television.
Lasse.
Lasse, yeah. We're trying to avoid that.
So, Lasse, the vital question is, if you were in a conversation with God, what did God tell you?
It was actually, this is not going to sound very nice for people who really believe in God, but it was really like that. It was like speaking to a child, you know. When you speak to a little child on the telephone, they don't know that they should say anything. They just nod their heads, or you know, you can feel that they are there, definitely.
What about the actual process of the crucifixion? I mean, did you have nails driven into your hands and feet?
Yeah, of course. That's kind of part of it. But actually, the crucifixion is what it is. It's not very surprising. It just hurts a lot. But
it must hurt more. It must hurt more than a lot, no?
Yes, actually.
No, I don't think it would hurt to have nails knocked through the soft flesh of the palms of your hand, would it? Really? I mean,
you've gone mad.
No. What I'm saying is, Lasse, can you tell me this? Do you support your body weight off the cross through the nails that are through the palms of your hands, or do you have a platform to stand on?
It's actually not possible to hang in the hands, and Jesus didn't either. He was nailed through the bones in the hand, which, of course, must hurt a lot more.
Yeah.
But so you have to stand on this platform. That means that if you faint, which a lot of people actually do, you will fall down because your hands will go apart. So you stand on a little platform, and then they tie you also. So if you faint, you will hang in the ropes.
Okay. So when you're crucified, what do you actually die of?
Well, he's not dead, is he?
No. But when somebody is crucified to death, what do they die of?
They die of thirst. It will take them a week. So there's something, and this is not the only thing in the Bible that's a little bit odd, because you cannot die from one day.
No.
Then you have to do something else.
You have to be there. How long were you up there for?
I was only up there for 14 minutes, and you definitely don't die from that.
No, sure. What about the holes in your hands? I mean, because biblically, doesn't God look after those who are crucified and heal those wounds?
He heals them very quickly, which is very annoying, because I would really like to show them to my kids and the grandchildren.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you should be able to.
That's not even a scar.
You should be able to boast to people, look, I was crucified, and when people say you're a nutter, we don't believe you. You should be able to
Exactly.
produce your hands and say, look, those were where the nails went through my hands.
That's quite spooky.
I think that's why people in the Philippines, they do it again and again.
Yeah.
This guy I went to film, he did it 28 times.
28 times.
20 years. Yeah,
And did they always put it in?
They look all right.
And did they always put it through the same hole?
Well, the hole heals up. Yeah,
it heals up within a week or something.
Yeah,
it's annoying.
Yeah, but Lasse, what I'm saying that if you knock a nail through the soft flesh of the palm of your hand, and obviously it avoids the bones.
Avoiding the bone,
yeah, exactly, avoiding the bones, because that's why we hear so many stories about, it was a miracle, it missed his heart or his liver by half an inch. The organs move aside like bones do under pressure. So
we haven't got any organs in your hand.
No, but you've got a bone, and a bone's got nerve endings. I don't think it would be that painful. I wouldn't, I'd volunteer to have a nail bashed through my hand into a piece of wood.
I bet there'd be plenty of people volunteering to do it as well.
Maybe, but
definitely. I thought exactly the same as you're saying now, but it hurt surprisingly much. I've been a stunt coordinator and a stunt performer for 32 years.
Right.
And I've broken everything you can break. So I thought that pain for small holes.
Yeah.
It's pretty predictable, right?
And
it hurts a lot.
What happened to the documentary? Did you finish that as well?
Yeah, it's on in the television tomorrow. So.
Oh, is it?
Oh, it's excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh, right. So can we see it in this country, or is it only in Denmark?
You will be able to see it on the internet because it's a national television, but it will probably be on. I guess they will put it over there as well. Okay. I don't know when.
That'll be brilliant.
It's in Europe now.
Okay, Lasse, in addition to the actual crucifixion, did you go through the ceremony of carrying your cross to replicate the suffering of Jesus?
No, you actually asked if you want to, but I thought it was really stupid. And I thought it was also pretty embarrassing that you had to wear this Jesus costume.
Oh. What costume was that? Like a loincloth?
You can decide yourself, actually. You have to go and have it made yourself. You also make your own nails.
You make your own nails? Wow.
Yeah, I still have them.
And a crown of thorns? Did you have a crown of thorns?
I was given one, yes, which is also very unpleasant to wear.
And do you think... Do you think that, Lasse, you might ever go back and do it again? Because I'm assuming over this Easter period there'll be more people in the Philippines doing it. They do it every year. Would you ever think about doing it again?
I think it's very difficult to get the permission. It took me 8 months last time and created a big of a fuss. But if I ever get the need of it, I will definitely think about it again.
Excellent. That's
even
brilliant.
though I did not become, I think, religious for real.
Yeah.
But it's not the last time that I will pray, because I kind of learned to do that, which is it's a good tool to have.
Oh, no, this is brilliant. Lasse, this is brilliant. For believers like me, this is a very inspirational story. Thank you very much indeed for sharing it with us. That's excellent.
Thank you very much indeed.
That's fantastic.
Now, it makes you think, doesn't it? Because, I mean, you don't really sacrifice much in your life, do you? And now, here you are. Now, we can play this back to you any time you like, that you're thinking of volunteering to have yourself nailed to a cross.
Yes, I am, yeah.
I think if we ask people to volunteer to nail the nails into your hands, we literally have a queue round the block.
Well, I think the only place they do it on Earth is in the Philippines.
Why can't we do it across the street in that
you
little
wouldn't
park?
get permission. You wouldn't get permission.
Well, you have to do it in the middle of the night.
No, it would shock people.
Do it in the middle of the night.
Imagine somebody coming down, what street are we in here? Hatfields. And seeing me nailed to a cross.
I think it'd be fantastic.
On the five-a-side football pitch opposite. That'd be too shocking for people. Children would be crying and screaming.
Why don't we do it on stage at Portsmouth?
Oh, yeah,
nail
sure,
you to a cross. That'd be great.
Yeah, good idea. I think it'd be easier to do it with a Black & Decker, wouldn't it, really? Because
what, a nail gun?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
I don't think that's very holy, though.
Well, it's not holy, but I mean, it'd be more effective and less painful, I would imagine.
I don't know.
Because I would imagine that the shockwave of the hammer hitting the nail 3 or 4 times is what really hurts.
Oh,
if you've got a nail gun and just went boof like that, I don't think you'd feel it. Mind you, you'd probably be able to get the nail out afterwards. That's the problem.
No, you just have to walk around nailed to a cross the rest of your life.
Well, I'd just saw a bit off the cross, wouldn't I? You'd just have like wooden gloves.
Yeah. This is Talk Sport. More coming up.
This weekend on Talk Sport.
It's a quite brilliant goal from Eden Hazard.
Saturday afternoon, kick-off, 5:30.
Costa coming in, Costa heading across the goalkeeper and in.
Chelsea
That is why Jose Mourinho wants to build the team around him.
versus Stoke City.
Gets the header away, gets it in! Peter Crouch has got it!
What a header, Peter Crouch!
Walters! Stoke City have the lead!
Sunday afternoon, kick-off, 1:30.
Trippier towards the far post, away by Company, comes back to George!
Burnley
It has been coming, Burnley take the lead against Manchester City. George Boyd scores.
versus Spurs.
On to Kane, edge of the area, shoots towards the far corner. Oh my word, he's done it again. And here is Boyd with a high ball into the penalty area. Ings with a header, wonderful goal. And he pops in the rebound, and he does equalise for Tottenham Hotspur.
Talk Sport, we love it!
This is Talk Sport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. 2 live commentary games coming up. Premier League football is back, much to everybody's relief, I think, after that international break. No more international football now until June, when, of course, it's England against Ireland. And do you know what? There was an awful lot of Twitter traffic between since yesterday's show and today's show from lots and lots of people. One guy actually dug out the entire, on YouTube, game of football from the beginning of the game to, the
when the right
dissolution of the game,
started,
including, and it was all from RTE, and it was all including all that. It was actually interesting listening to the commentary, because I remember watching that game with an English commentary, and it was a very different kettle of fish listening to the Irish commentary.
It was, yeah.
Who were very, very clear that there were no Irish fans involved, and this was only English fans.
Yeah.
Terrible, blah, blah, blah. But also, at the end of it, or very close to the end of it, and we've got some still pictures of it as well, there was Graham Kelly making his little speech after the game, looking very, very kind of shocked and worried.
Contrite.
Not really contrite. He wasn't really sure what to say. And he was talking about investigation. But meanwhile, to his right, there was this kind of elfin figure with a red beard and red hair.
That was me.
And I looked at it and I thought, my goodness me, that's Mike Parry.
Director of Communications. I stopped.
But you weren't saying anything.
Well, the thing is, I was doing all the work in the background.
But you were leaning in, trying to hear what he was saying, right? To be honest, you looked like a slightly malevolent character, because you looked a bit like some kind of Politburo type. Malevolent, yeah.
How can I be malevolent?
Well,
I'm not a malevolent individual.
You look like a guy from the Politburo who was making sure that
what I was doing was
your sort of official guy wasn't going to say anything out of turn.
I'd primed Graham to say what he had to say, to apologise to the Irish nation on behalf of the English Football Association.
But he didn't apologise.
And I was doing all the work behind the scenes. I was negotiating with the Irish government. I was trying to make sure that diplomatic relations between the two countries weren't going to be severed over this shocking incident and all that sort of stuff. Well, I was working. I was like
you look like very suspicious.
I was like one of my ducks. it looked all serene and calm on the surface, but my legs were going 100 miles an hour underneath that water.
Is that right?
Really, really trying to stem what could have been an incredibly difficult situation between two countries who have a history of misunderstandings.
Well, I'll show you some of that video later on.
I don't need to say it. I was there, Mike. I was actually there.
Yeah, I know you were there.
I'm the star of the video.
But you
so I know what went
but
on.
you weren't the star of the video. You were the silent star of the video because all the talking was being done by Graham Kelly.
But Graham Kelly,
contrary to what you said,
it was as if Graham Kelly was a puppet, and I was manipulating him through a panel in the back of his back, if you know what I mean. And
like a puppet.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and telling him what to do. So don't worry too much about that, mate.
Okay.
Now listen, I want to talk to you about trees because I might be doing a bit of. Now I don't want you to laugh at this. Okay.
Is this another mad scheme?
It's not a mad scheme, but Martin Shaw is a very good friend of mine because he stars
Martin Shaw from The Professionals.
Well, don't remind me about The Professionals.
Why?
That's not his favourite TV series.
Isn't it? What is then?
Well, the one he does now is Inspector George Wakely.
Oh, is he in that?
No, hang on. What's it called? Inspector... it's my favourite show.
Inspector Montalbano?
No.
That?
George
great.
Gently. What did I say?
You said George Bentley, I think.
No, George Gently, Inspector George Gently.
Oh, yeah.
And
Isn't that one of those historic shows?
Yeah, it is. It's set in sort of 1960s Geordieland.
Right.
It's brilliant. It's a brilliant show. It's absolutely brilliant. I love it.
Is he Inspector George then?
He's the sort of hard-bitten, long-in-the-tooth inspector who's come up from the smoke because he's a southerner.
He's not an Everton fan, is he?
Well, the funny thing is he does a lot of productions for Bill Kenwright Limited.
Okay. So he's one of your thespian mates that you
He's
hang
one of
around
my
with.
thespian mates and all that, and he's great. But anyway, look, what he's taken to is to hugging trees.
Right.
Now, people
hugging trees?
Yeah, people used to laugh at people who were tree huggers, but he has taken it up and
it became a sort of a description of derision, didn't it?
Well,
called somebody a tree hugger.
People who don't understand it, try to take the mickey out of these people who hug trees. But it is a very, very positive thing to do if you believe in the way the world works. And what he said
is... Well,
I'm
presuming that you think they wave at you, it's probably not bad. Maybe you should hug them just to keep them still.
No, trees do wave at you.
They don't wave at you.
They do.
They blow in the wind.
Well, they're waving at you effectively because the motion of a tree and the relationship between its branches and its boughs and its trunk is vital to the existence of the earth.
Right.
Do you know that trees in the northern hemisphere actually communicate with trees in the southern hemisphere through their roots? Because the root of a tree...
That's so ridiculous.
The root of a tree can go all the way around the world.
Do you really have this kind of five-year-old's view of the globe?
No, I don't.
You do, don't you?
I
you
don't.
think people in Australia are standing upside down?
Don't be ridiculous.
You do think that?
Don't be ridiculous.
I'm convinced of that.
If you don't understand what I'm saying...
So you think if you pulled the roots up, if you were able to, that somehow a tree would disappear under the ground in Australia? Is that what you're thinking?
No, I'm not thinking that at all. What I'm saying is that the tingling roots from a tree in the northern hemisphere and the tingling roots from a tree in the southern hemisphere meet at some point around the Earth.
What, in the Earth's core?
No, in the Earth's core, in the Earth's crust.
In the crust?
Yeah.
Around the core?
Yeah, because when in the core, they'd all burn, wouldn't they? Because we all believe, although we've never been there, we believe that it's a Dante Inferno of hell in the middle of the Earth.
Well,
that's why we don't go there. Well, I do believe that.
Well, we know how hot it is because we see the molten lava coming out from the core of the Earth.
Yeah,
it's not like some fantasy.
Yeah, but the molten lava coming out of the core of the Earth is just like a pimple on the Earth's crust, isn't it? It's not coming right from the centre of the Earth, is it? Because if it was, it would take an awful long time to get here.
Right.
So what I'm saying is...
So what's the purpose of actually hugging trees, physically?
To literally have the energy of a tree infused into your very being, into your body. Because trees are full of energy. Trees are literally...
They may be.
Well, you think about it. Think of the huge structure the tree is. Think of the wind blowing it. And like a windmill, it's taking in all the energy and the force of the wind, which sways the tree. Well, if you're hugging that tree, that energy is coming straight down the
how
trunk
do you know
of
it's storing the energy? Isn't it surely using its kind of willowness and its suppleness to make sure that it's not damaged?
Of course it is, but it retains stuff, doesn't it? If the wind is blowing if the wind is blowing in your face, a lot of it goes around you, but some of it pushes you back. Now it's that pushing.
Oh, yeah, but you don't store any of the energy as a result, do you?
I didn't say you stored it. What I'm saying
how does a tree do it then?
Because it transmits down through its trunk, and if you're holding the trunk at the bottom, that energy is all coming down to you.
You wouldn't be able to get your arms around a tree trunk unless it was one of those saplings.
Listen, you don't. Listen, don't be such a fool. You don't put your arms all the way round a tree trunk because it'd be too big. No. Imagine trying to hug a Canadian redwood or something like that. That would be almost impossible.
Well, it would be impossible. Yeah, not almost impossible.
But
these are the ones you can drive a car through.
But you can grasp the trunk of a tree and put your arms maybe halfway round it.
Yeah. Do you know when I was in India?
When you were in India,
in Delhi. Or just outside of Delhi, there's a place that you can go, and it's almost like a rest stop on the side of the road.
Right.
And they've got this kind of pole And if you put your hands around the pole and you can touch both of your hands together, it means that you're faithful, and if if you can't, it means you're unfaithful.
Really?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. What are you doing now?
I've lost my research paper on tree hugging, which I worked assiduously on this afternoon. Can't find it.
What have you lost now?
My research paper on tree hugging.
Maybe one of the trees has nicked it.
No, don't
While
be
you were
silly.
hugging it.
No.
Pickpocketed you.
No. But I was going to tell you all about it, and I have told you all about it, and that's what it's all about: the transmission of energy
So, are we going
from wind power.
Are we going to see you doing a selfie of yourself hugging a tree over the weekend then?
Well, I don't mind doing one. I don't.
But
think,
you're the man, right?
I don't think
you're
for a moment that I'm going to be, a source of mockery or anything like that. Because people, unlike you, people understand that this is it's not just a whimsy daft thing done by hippies and long-haired people walking around in sandals. It's done by those who actually understand the creative energy of the earth and the way nature can infuse man.
Do you think trees have knowledge?
I think trees know more about the earth than we do because they've been around longer.
Do you think they know about you?
Well, what do you mean by that?
Well, because you've been on this very radio show talking in the past about wiping out forests to build more roads, wiping out trees from all over the place in order to build more houses.
Yes.
So if you hug a tree,
yes,
actually you might be putting yourself in danger. Because the tree might know that in the past you've been somebody who has advocated killing them.
You're being stupid now, and you're trying to belittle me because you think it's a cookie subject or a wacko.
Yeah,
it's not bonkers at all. You see, I object to that. I object to you saying that. I object to you saying that. All right, so you've got some theories which I don't agree with. I don't go around saying,
what mad theories have I got?
You're a mad, deranged fool, do I?
Well, no, that's because I'm not.
No.
What mad theories have I got that you disagree with, that you could possibly argue with? I am what you might call a realist.
Okay. You don't seem to think there's any connection between smoking 2 packets of cigarettes a day and lung cancer.
I've never said there's no connection.
You don't. If you thought there was a connection, you wouldn't be smoking 2 packets of cigarettes a day. And if you think there's a connection and you still do it, and you've got children to look after, young children got to be brought up, then you are a selfish man, a deluded man, and everything I've accused you of in the past, an abandoning parent.
Yeah, but not everybody who smokes dies of cancer.
A lot of people do.
A lot of people do. A lot of people die of cancer who don't smoke as well.
In that case, I would say that you are more weird than me to stick fags in your mouth and set fire to them with the possibility... What are you laughing at?
What else are you supposed to do with that?
Exactly.
Technically, you're not really setting fire to them.
With the possibility of that injuring your health than me going around hugging trees.
Have I told you about my
I think hugging trees is a good thing.
Yeah, well, I want to see pictures at the weekend. One of the things that people quite frequently say to me on Twitter, particularly over the weekend, is that I'm always sending out pictures of what I get up to. You never send out pictures of what you get up to because either one, you don't get up to anything, or two, you're too ashamed of showing a picture from inside of a pub every single time you send one out.
No. I mean, when you say get up to, what do you mean by that? All you ever send out are pictures of more and more exotic
I send pictures
foods.
I send pictures of me out walking the dog. If I go out drinking, I send a picture from the pub. I sent a beautiful picture of the sunrise this morning down by Canary Wharf.
So what?
It was fantastic.
People can see the sunrise. They don't need a picture of you to see the
sunrise in Canary Wharf unless they're there, can they?
I found my research paper.
Oh, well done.
Right, Martin Shaw is taking up tree hugging. He said holding trees allows him to feel their natural energy.
Right.
Shaw, 70.
So he's obviously lost the plot
70.
as well.
Martin Shaw's 70.
He's got a bit gaga.
Doesn't look 70. Said he inherited a love of the countryside.
When was the last time you spoke to him, by the way? He was a great mate of yours.
You don't speak to your mates on a daily basis, do you?
Well, I mean, how about on an annual basis or every 10 years, maybe?
Look,
I mean, last time you said you were friends with somebody, you said the last time you saw them, it was 2006 or something.
I don't define friendship like that. In this day and age, by the way, people don't speak to each other anymore. They send each other texts, emails.
When was the last time you
got
a text from him then?
Well, I don't invade his private space.
Anytime this century.
Let me just get on with this. Martin Shaw, 70, said he inherited a love of the countryside from his father, Frank, who would put his hands on a tree and say he could feel extraordinary energy and force coursing up through the tree. Shaw, who starred in the professionals in the 70s and now plays TV's Inspector George Stanley, which I told you about, was giving over his views on tree hugging in Countryside magazine.
Well, I'm surprised you don't subscribe to that.
Well, I'm going to. Now I'm going to have a look
magazine.
at that.
Let me read you a couple of tweets and let's see what people are sorting out. Now, here's one from Rodney in Hayes. He says, Parry, he plays a judge, you twit.
No, that's in another one called Judge. Hang on, what's it
Judge Judy?
No, Judge. No, I think it's called. No,
Judge Reinhold.
He plays a chief constable in one called The Chief.
Yeah.
Right, which is
self-explanatory.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he plays a judge in He does play a judge, and do you know why I know he plays a judge? Because the female interest in that programme is Jenny Seagrove, another great thespian friend of mine.
Another great Evertonian,
yes,
right. Now, here's one from Mars, who says, Porky started hugging trees as he did not find any married women because they found out about his character.
Not true.
Roy says, so trees communicate across the globe. What language do they speak? Do English oaks talk to Brazilian rubber trees in Esperanto? Good question.
You see, I'm not going to answer those questions because it's belittling something which is a proven and very credible part of the way the world is made. Those who can't understand it, I feel sorry for. I'm sorry that you're brainless. I'm sorry that your imagination lets you down and you can't embrace and encompass the parts of life which are not written down, which are not painted yellow, which are not built of bricks. You've just got to get with it and learn these things like I do.
JM says, Porky has lost his tree research paper, which I presume he's been working on deciduously, which is rather good.
Deciduously, I like that.
And Ian says, is this another branch of Porky's knowledge?
Another branch.
Not bad.
I like it.
And there's a very nice picture here from Julian, who's put up a picture of you nailed to a cross.
Oh, really? That's a bit unkind.
Which I'll retweet.
That's a bit unkind.
And here's one from Matt, who says, so according to Porky, then, if I pull up a root in my garden, a tree will disappear from the garden of Madge Bishop in Australia.
No, I didn't say it.
You haven't got much of this right, have you?
You said that. What I'm saying is the roots of a tree can go for hundreds, thousands of miles. The actual... a root of a tree is not necessarily a root. It can be a vibration.
Eh?
It can be a vibration.
What are you talking about?
Well, no, what I'm saying is, when... No, this is true.
Say the time, by the way.
Yeah, just very, very quickly.
Well,
this is
very
true.
quickly.
When all those trees were blown down, millions of them, about 25 years ago.
What, you mean in a hurricane in 1987?
Yeah, that's right. The
wasn't
huge
really
storm.
millions, was
huge
it?
Storm. Do you know that it was...
It wasn't millions.
It was thought...
There was seven of them in Sevenoaks, and they went down to about 4.
Do you know what? It was
three of them.
It was thought that nearly 1 million trees in the southern hemisphere died in sympathy with the trees that were killed.
Thought by who? Well, somebody in an asylum.
No. Why can't you just take it seriously?
Because it's absolute rubbish.
No, it's not
like
rubbish.
Most of the nonsense you come out with. Anyway, he's Mike Parry, I'm Mike Graham.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Freedom for sport.
Can we kick it? Yes, we can. Talk Sport.
Sauce. He will love them as they are in a can.
What sort of sauce they come in though?
Well, it's a tomato sauce.
I don't like tomato. I don't like.
Well,
meatballs.
you love tomatoes, eh?
I like tomatoes, and I like beans on toast obviously in tomato sauce.
Yeah.
And I like tomato soup, but I can't stand meatballs in tomato sauce.
Right. Okay.
Like, for instance, I can't stand sardines in tomato sauce. Don't know why people do that.
Or pilchards, even.
Not even pilchards. No.
Yeah.
And by the way, you just said there in your introduction to the second hour of the show.
Yes.
We're going to make some corrections. What corrections
Well,
are
I've
you?
got a couple here that I'm going to be leading up to.
Sorry, do you mean alleged corrections to facts that I've given you? Is this what you're talking about?
Some of them will be that, yeah. Here's one from somebody who talks about what that show was. Martin Shaw was Judge John Deeds.
Thank you very much.
A show which... What do you mean, thank you very much?
Because I said it was the chief was one.
A few years ago. That's from Rob.
That's true.
And he says, P.S. great show. Steve adds that. Porky means Judge John Dean and Inspector George Gently. Here's another one about your talk about the crucifixion. Here's one from, where is it? From Michael, who says, I'm on my way to Hatfields with a cross and a Black & Decker. Will Porky rise on Sunday?
That's a guy called Helke. I've seen that tweet. Yeah.
Well, his name's Michael. That's
okay, another guy here says, to you, Mike Graham, nail Porky's hands to a cross, and perhaps in the future we can have a look at the video of it for the Two Mike show. That's all a bit harsh, this,
Yeah, well, I mean, people like to see this kind of stuff. Georgie has texted to 81089. He says, Happy Easter to the Two Mikes. What is it with Porky? He stocks up with this passion for hot cross buns, and he reckons he can handle being crucified. He does make me cross sometimes.
Make it cross, yeah. Well, Neil here says, I've just bought a nail gun. Mike Porky Parry says being nailed to a cross can't hurt, so I'm happy to volunteer to do it for you. Happy Easter to Talk Sport. Well, Neil, I mean, I can see that you, again, are a non-believer, but the physical thing I'm talking about, Mike, is anything that happens quickly to your body doesn't hurt as much as something being done slowly.
No, that's true. But I mean, if you don't
Somebody
feel the
pulled
pain...
one of your teeth out over the space of 15 minutes, it'd be a lot more painful than a dentist suddenly going whoosh.
But if somebody was to do that, the pain might linger, and I mean that's the problem. Here's somebody from called themselves Reverend Gru. Who says, "Hi guys, when a person is crucified, they are given 3 days to die. If they are not dead, they break the person's legs. This makes the lungs fill with liquid and causes asphyxiation.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Really?
So this platform you're standing on, which is nailed halfway down the cross, right, to support your body weight, otherwise, literally, it would tear the nails out of the wood because of the weight of your body. You're absolutely right. After 3 days, they break your legs and then your body sags. And you know what? That's the same principle by which a beached whale dies.
Oh, really?
Well, because it's on sand and there's no give in the water, there's no displacement in the water.
It can't actually breathe.
It can't breathe, and that's how beach. That's why it's so important to get a whale to never let
into the sea.
Yeah, well, once it's out the sea, it's dead. It's vital never to let it get out the sea.
They can survive for a short time, can't they?
Very short time. Very few are ever put back in the water and survive because they're so badly hurt by the weight of their own body mass on their lungs. You know.
Oh, okay.
But there, I thought.
Now, somebody, which I can't find now, has sent in a tweet saying that actually you weren't 100% wrong with Depeche Mode because apparently Johnny Cash actually covered that song of theirs.
Well, there you go, you see. I knew
didn't know that.
I knew that.
No, you didn't know that. And
I'm
also,
telling
when
you,
he does it, it would sound completely different.
I'm telling you, it sounded so much like Johnny Cash. It was clearly a song which he either wrote or produced or something like that. That was definitely him.
Now,
definitely him.
Now, let's talk briefly, because we're not going to have a lot of time to talk about the football in this hour.
Yeah.
Coming up, of course, we've got these live games, Chelsea, Stoke and Burnley, Spurs. But Everton have taken on Southampton. We talked about this the other night.
Yeah.
I want a prediction from you for the result because Everton are still not quite yet out of the mire, are they?
No, they're not. And I'm going to stick my head above the old parapet and Southampton will win 2-1.
Really?
I'm hoping that Southampton are feeling, the effects of a long season and that Everton are feeling the effects of a mini revival. 6 points out of 6 in their last 2 games. Home to Newcastle, away to QPR. I hope that's going to continue. I would love to see that happen. The other thing is, if you notice, Roberto Martinez is now talking up Ross Barkley. Well, he hasn't been playing him all season. He hasn't been starting him all season.
No, I wondered if they'd had some kind of falling out because he didn't seem to want to put him on the field at all.
I don't think so, but now he's describing him as potentially one of the greatest players in the world. Well, if you've got one of the greatest players in the world in your squad, shouldn't you build your team around him?
Shouldn't he learn as well from Brendan Rodgers? Because when he said that about Raheem Sterling, the next thing he had a call from his agent going, we want 200,000 a week.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's the trouble, isn't it?
The Brendan Rodgers situation, for me, I mean, I was the first to indicate to you that I thought Chelsea...
You were indeed, yes, I'll give you credit for that.
...going to be the club that Raheem Sterling would like to go to. And clearly somebody's been talking today, because that's the back page now of all the newspapers are saying...
It's not you that's fed them that
No, I haven't spoken to any journalists today. I've been very, very busy today, to be honest.
That's not usual for you, is it?
No, I've been out with Mr. Brazil today. We've been busy, believe me, working, not drinking, by the way, I hasten to add. And
I heard, by the way, when you were doing a paper review with him the other morning, he was trying to stitch you up on the Charlie Sale front.
He was, yeah.
Which is disgraceful.
It is disgraceful, yeah. I haven't spoken to that man for over 3 years. We had a major fallout, and that's that.
Right.
But that's another story. No, what I was going to say was that I think Brendan Rodgers... what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not trying to criticise Liverpool. I think he's experienced in many elements of management. He's a good coach, obviously, and he's learning how to manage footballers.
Yeah.
Like Luis Suarez, one of the best footballers in the world. I thought he managed him very well indeed.
He let him down terribly badly.
Yeah, he let him down terribly badly. But I think Mr. Rodgers has yet to conquer the art of the Sir Alex Ferguson school of double speak.
Yes.
Because I don't think you can come out and say, Raheem Sterling will not be leaving the club this summer.
Right.
I think that means Raheem Sterling probably will be leaving the club this summer.
I think it may well
I think that's a challenge now. That's Raheem Sterling went off and did this interview with the BBC. Out of the
without
blue.
permission, by the looks of things.
He's 19 or 20 years of age, one or the other. 20 years of age. And somebody fixed that up for him because it was a proper BBC interview. It wasn't like, you know what I mean? It wasn't like he was walking out of training and a TalkSport reporter was waiting there with a microphone and just said, Raheem, can I ask you about your future?
Yeah.
It was in a proper studio. It was all set up. The lighting was done and all that. It was all premeditated.
It was.
So if I was Brendan Rodgers, I'd have been very angry about that. And instead of the old moderate attitude which he showed today, saying, well, we were surprised, I'd have said, I was very disappointed that Raheem chose to go and explain his views on his future at Liverpool with the rest of the world before he came to see me. Because I would like to have known about it first, you know.
And also, if that was Sir Alex Ferguson, he'd have banned the BBC from ever setting foot in Anfield.
Not only that, Raheem Sterling would be leaving the club if he did that to Alex Ferguson.
Yeah.
Once you decide...
Well, the Yap Stam scenario.
The Yap Stam scenario, the Roy Keane scenario, the David Beckham scenario, once you get too big for your boots and forget that you're actually supposed to have some duty of honour to your manager, you, you're out.
Now, do you remember we talked about that couple that won the lottery twice?
Unbelievable.
Now, what about, right hot on the heels of that, we've got more lottery winners today.
53 million?
Saying Richard and Angela Maxwell have become the 10th biggest national lottery winners ever.
Yeah.
53 million, yeah.
I know, 53 million.
Isn't that extraordinary?
I saw that somewhere and I can't find it.
I think it's on some of the front pages, isn't it?
Yeah, it's on the front
This
page
morning.
of tomorrow's Mirror. Mirror.
That's the Mirror, yeah.
Mirror, definitely. £53 million lotto winner. I thought it was April Fool.
Now, a lot of people, as you would expect in this country, on social media saying, oh, that's far too much money, that shouldn't be allowed. I don't think it's far too much money.
This guy looks a bit like me.
Well, some people pointed that out.
Yeah, have you seen that?
Some people pointed that out.
What I'm going to do is, on this, I'm going to actually put a pair of glasses on this guy with my pen, OK?
Right.
Rather childish, but...
well, no more childish than your prank from the other night, is it?
Oh, yeah,
I think we've all established
I put
what
glasses
your
on him.
mental age is.
Look at him now.
That's you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's me.
That's you.
Wish it was.
You should take a picture of that.
I wish I could have 53 million. That'd be great.
You don't need any more money. You've said that before.
Yes, but 53 million gives you financial independence. You can, actually...
Would you stop working?
No, I'd never stop working. What I'd do is I'd use that to, create a brand new business.
Would you?
With employing dozens of people and all that kind of stuff.
What, minimum wage?
I'd do it for the world. Well,
but actually, what business would you start? Tree Huggers Society or something?
No, I wouldn't. What I would do is I've come across a miracle plant which is going to be worth more than oil.
Oh, yeah?
And
like a herb or something?
It's called stevia.
Stevia. Where does it grow?
It grows at
This is
the
like
moment.
a botany lesson tonight, this, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. It grows at the moment in somewhere like South America.
Oh, yeah.
And it is...
Somewhere like South America.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Well, you know where South America is. And I'll tell you what it is. It's a sugar substitute. Substitute.
It's like a sweetener.
It is.
But it's not a... Is it a plant, though?
It's a plant. And yeah, I'm just going to use my information device to get some information.
I've got one here. It says stevia is a sweetener and sugar substitute extracted from the leaves of the plant species Stevia rebaudiana.
There you go. Native to South America, right? And do you know what? For 100 years...
Well, you haven't invented it then, have you? You haven't just discovered it. It's already being used by loads of people.
Yeah, but what I'd do is I'd buy up huge tracts of land in Argentina and plant loads of stevia plants.
Would you?
And grow them and then sell them to Coca-Cola.
It's not very good for you, apparently.
Because Coca-Cola use them...
There's stories here about people having to give it up because it's bad for them.
No. For instance, for the last 100 years, it's only been known about by the Chinese, who use it in soy sauce.
That's not true.
Instead of sugar. Yes, it is
Do
true.
they?
It's true, yeah. And now it's in everything from Heinz tomato ketchup to Wrigley's chewing gum and Tesco own label yoghurt, OK?
Yeah.
And there's a company already producing it.
You've seen the time, by the way.
Don't worry about the time.
I'm worried about the time.
There's a company called Pure Circle.
Yeah.
They're one of the largest companies on London's AIM market. That's AIM.
Yeah.
That's like the junior stock market, isn't it? Yeah. And they've got a value of £800 million from almost nothing when they started manufacturing this stuff. It's barely known outside the food and drinks industry. So that's where the next fortune comes from.
Barely known outside the food and drinks industry?
Yes.
So, I mean, it's very well known then.
No, it's barely known. So even without a £53 million windfall from winning the lottery, I might go and buy a bit of land down in South America and start planting a few stevia plants anyway.
Yeah, why don't you? Good idea. See you in a couple of months. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes.
Scotty, beam me up, Scotty. Scotty.
All right.
You don't know Scotty in Star Wars?
No.
No? Okay.
Who is he?
That was Scotty. I beam me up, Scotty, Star Trek, but that was Star Wars.
Mr. Brazil a bit confused there.
Yeah, that's right. It was that was Star Trek, wasn't it?
Star Trek,
Star
yeah,
Wars,
exactly right. Now, the reason we want to talk about Star Wars, I saw this amazing thing which is going doing the rounds on social media, and it's a letter that's been discovered that Alec Guinness wrote.
Sir Alec Guinness,
yeah, while he was filming Star Wars, because you know that he was in, a couple of the early
He was the big chief, wasn't he?
He was the big chief.
He was the big chief.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
He was what?
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Was that his name, was it?
Yeah.
And he was the...
Help me, Obi-Wan.
He was the boss of the guys who were the...
He was the Jedi Master, basically.
Jedis, that's right.
He was the Jedi Master.
Jedi Knights, they were called, weren't they? The Jedi Knights.
Yeah, kind of. Anyway.
Who was a Jedi Knight?
Hey?
The guy who had the whip. What was his name?
Hey? What, you mean Harrison Ford?
Harrison Ford was Jedi Knight, wasn't he?
Wait until I read this. Harrison Ford wasn't a Jedi. He was Han Solo.
Oh, was he? Okay.
It was the other guy that was a Jedi.
Right.
Anyway, Alec Guinness, apparently, on April the 19th, 1976, while he was in the midst of filming Star Wars, which he'd obviously taken on without necessarily knowing too much about it, right? Probably not realising it was going to become this massive show that was going to be famous around the world, right? He writes to his friend Anne Kaufman. I can't say I'm enjoying...
Kaufman?
Anne Kaufman. It's a friend of his.
Oh, right,
Why are you questioning the name Kaufman?
Because I know a Kaufman, don't I?
Do you? Well, there was an MP. Gerald Kaufman was an MP.
That's him,
used to be.
Okay.
Here's what he says. I can't say I'm enjoying the film. New rubbish dialogue reaches me every other day on wedges of pink paper, and none of it makes my character clear or even bearable. I just think, thankfully, of the lovely bread, which will help me keep going until next April, even if Yahoo collapses in a week. I'm not sure what that means. Then he says, I must off to the studio and work with a dwarf. Very sweet, and he has to wash in a bidet. Right, that's his description of the dwarf. Yeah. And your fellow countryman Mark Hamill and Tennyson. That can't be right. Ford? He doesn't even know Harrison Ford's name. It's Tennyson Ford. Or is it Ellison? Well, anyway, he says he's a rangy, languid young man who is probably intelligent and amusing. But, oh, God, they make me feel 90 and treat me as if I was 106.
Good God.
Isn't that amazing?
So Harrison Ford had not yet got into the Doctor, what's-her-name role then?
Eh?
The Doctor, what's he called in the other films?
What, Star Trek?
No, Harrison Ford.
Oh, you mean Indiana Jones?
Indiana Jones, Dr. Jones. So I hadn't got into the Dr. Jones role
no, because when Star Wars was made, the first Star Wars, Harrison Ford was not that well known. He'd been in a couple of films. He'd been in American Graffiti. He'd been in. He was in Apocalypse Now, actually.
Was he?
But in quite a small role.
Yeah, I see. So he wasn't a megastar anyway.
But he was, no,
so you
not
can't really
well
blame Alec Guinness for not knowing who he is. Alec Guinness must have worked with some of the greatest actors in the world.
Yeah, but what I thought was interesting is it gives you an insight into the way that these guys, because, when they make a film, they don't even necessarily spend that much time together.
No,
they just kind of put together for a scene and then they retire to their trailers.
That's absolutely right.
Where he eats all this lovely bread, which he was describing.
Yeah, where was it made then?
Well, it was actually, I think Star Wars was made here, wasn't it?
Well, what's this bread thing?
I don't know. That's obviously something between Anne Kaufman and him.
Alec Guinness was in The Lady Killers.
He was, yeah.
It was brilliant. It's one of my favourite films. It was an Ealing studio. And the other one, what was the other one where You're
thinking of some of the Ealing comedies.
They're not even comedies. Lady Killers wasn't a comedy, was it?
Well, it kind of was.
It kind of was. But the other one I'm thinking about, right? I wonder what the name of this film was. He was the guy at the Bank of England who had to sign off the gold shipments every day, okay? And he used to get in the back of the lorry in case...
Not the Lavender Hill Mob.
Lavender Hill Mob.
Yeah, I remember
Brilliant.
that
That was fantastic. And he ended up in Paris with these little miniature Eiffel Towers things made of gold. He lost his fortune, but it was a great film. I loved all those films.
Well,
why don't we make films like that these days? That's what I say to myself.
They made Elstree Studios is where they kind of put the whole Star Wars thing together. But they filmed it on location in Tunisia, so maybe that was where he got the bread.
Oh, that'd be the bread.
Special kind of flat
that'd
bread.
be the bread. Yeah, that'd be the bread.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good. Now, why were you telling me all about that? Were you telling me about that because you would like me to think it's interesting, which it is.
Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting insight into such a great man, Sir Alec Guinness.
I do think it's very interesting.
As you all know, I mean, if you get to a certain... I mean, he was quite old when he made those movies. You get to a certain age and suddenly everyone seems very young and they treat you like an old guy.
Yeah, well, you feel like that in our profession, don't you?
I don't really, no.
Yeah, I bet you do.
But there's a lot of young people here at Talk Sport.
Well, of course are. They're all very good and energetic and it's a thrill to work with them.
I don't hide my age, you see. That's why I don't have a problem with it.
I think you were actually introducing that to try and stop me talking about the subject which you despise, and that is the English public school.
The English public school? I don't despise it. I just think it should be done away with.
Yes, well, exactly.
That doesn't mean I despise it. I just think it's about everything that's wrong with our society.
I've got a new up-to-date report on the English public school, how much it contributes to society and life, how through the years it's been brilliant. And this is the main tenet of why I...
Tenet?
Tenet.
Not a tenant. A tenant are
not
the people
a
you rip off every day
a tenant.
Because they rent
of
property
why I support the English public school. And it's this. This is what the report says.
I don't know why you support the English public school
because I went to one.
No, you didn't.
I did.
You went to a state school.
I didn't. I went to the King's School, Chester.
Yeah, but it was not a private school.
It's on the Headmasters' Conference Register.
Well,
that makes it a public school.
Well, yeah, but
it wasn't a private school. I didn't pay to go there.
It's not a fee-paying school.
I didn't pay to go there. I won a scholarship because I was so bright.
Really?
Yeah. Right.
You probably stole it from somebody else.
I didn't. No, I
given
didn't.
all that other nefarious activity you were getting up to.
No, I didn't.
I don't believe that you were bright enough to get a scholarship.
Well, I did.
How?
I did. Because I took an examination, entrance examination.
Really?
I got so many marks. I was so much better than everybody else.
Must have dropped out.
No, they were all thickheads compared to me.
Really?
Yeah. And I got in there. And guess what? In my class, on one side was the son of the chairman of QUID, which was based in Liverpool, QUID Shipping. And on the other side was the son of a bus driver.
Oh, yeah.
It's a meritocracy, a public school, when it has...
No, it isn't.
Well, it is.
So you're telling me Eton is a meritocracy?
It is. Eton has loads of scholarships for children from deprived backgrounds.
It doesn't have loads.
It is.
How many do you think it has?
Loads.
Loads?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I think about 25%.
I got some
25% of the pupils who go to Eton are from lower classes.
I got some information, actually, for you on the University of the Trent.
Oh, right, okay.
Would you believe? Now, how about this? Number crunching. It comes out of a local research document that I managed to get my hands on.
Okay.
84th is the league table position for Nottingham Trent University for research excellence.
That's pretty good.
84th.
Pretty good, that.
No, it's not. 57th, league table position of Nottingham Trent for student satisfaction.
I think it's very good.
That's not very good. And first... right?
Yes.
In the league table of Nottingham Trent for Vice-Chancellor's pay. And the guy who apparently is in charge, Neil Gorman, guess how much he got paid?
120,000?
623,000.
You're joking.
For his final year of the job.
You're joking.
623,000.
And he's only the Vice-Chancellor?
Yeah.
What did the Chancellor get?
Well, the Vice-Chancellor is generally the guy who runs it.
Oh,
the
is he?
Chancellor
Right,
is a sort of titular role.
Yeah, I see, yeah.
623,000.
That's an outrage. So all my hard work over the years...
You should be doing that job.
I should be. I could be that. But listen, let me tell you more about the school.
The darts team and everything.
Yeah, exactly. The conclusion is that why most people resent public schools is because the simplest way of making a public school redundant would be by making the state schools as good as they are, or better, than most parents who educate their children privately, who do so for one reason or another. They would send them to the local state school, but they cannot do that because the state schools do not provide language teaching, sports facilities, music teaching or science and arts that even come near the quality offered by the better private schools, nor are they in a position to offer smaller class sizes.
Yeah. That's true. Now, if there were no private schools, however, and everybody had to go to state schools, the state schools would be immeasurably better because the standards would be risen and also there would be more money available.
But the vital factor here, Mike, which you've not told our millions of listeners, is this, that it's actually more expensive to run a state school at the cost of the taxpayer than it is to run private schools and public schools at the cost to the investor.
Well,
do you see what I mean?
It may be true, that.
It is true. It is true.
There is a wrinkle to that, and that is that, unfortunately, an awful lot of private schools are now charitable institutions. They don't pay any tax for a start. So from the point of view of the government...
neither do state schools.
No, state schools don't. But my point is if they were run as businesses, which they are, and they paid tax, then that would be better because then the government would get some money to subsidise the state schools. But they don't because they're given charitable status, which I think is wrong.
Well, when the charitable status was threatened in the 80s, right, the 1980s threat to remove tax meant that the schools... meant the schools got immeasurably better, OK? Public schools got their acts together, they went mixed, they gave up fagging and beating.
Oh, that's nice of them.
I'm not sure that that's a good thing. I think fagging and beating was an essential part of developing a boy's character, and at least try to give up bullying. I don't like bullying. No. But also it said they gave up sex perversion. I don't know why they
what they give that up for?
I don't know. It says
that's
in
why
the past,
most people go, isn't it?
In the past, the case for abolishing public schools or letting them die an ignominious natural death was that they were cut off from the real world, only taught useless subjects such as Greek, encouraged perverted attitudes to sex, and failed to produce rounded individuals equipped for life in the modern world.
Well, that's why you've turned out the way you are, obviously.
Hang on.
Was there any perversion going on at the King's School, Chester, as far as you're aware?
No, not that I know of.
Right.
Not that I know of. It now says, that's been swept away, and rather they prepare people for the world rather than just Demosthenes and rugby fives.
Oh, right.
Who's Demosthenes? He's a Greek, isn't he?
Well, you should know. You went to a public school.
Well, I didn't do ancient Greek.
You were down a pub that afternoon.
I did modern Greek. It was in a
modern Greek.
Modern Greek, yeah. Ancient Greek.
Unbelievable. Here's Mike Parry. I'm Mike Graham. Coming up next, it's time for the Porky Quiz. This is TalkSport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. He is Mike Parry, of course, and it's time for the Porky Quiz. And you'll recognise that music, of course.
Of course,
yeah. Everybody now associates with Formula One racing, and a lot of people don't find it, do they? Because it kind of appears at the end of the song.
It's in the middle of the song, I think.
Yeah, it comes right near the end.
Absolutely,
anyway. Now, as ever, these questions have been compiled by independent quiz masters.
No, they haven't. They've been compiled by you.
No, they have not been
it is outrageous that you mislead the audience every week to think that we've got a team of people putting them together.
You stopped all this moaning last week because you did quite well on the politics quiz. You got like 5 out of 10.
Yeah. Well, I got 6 out of 10, actually.
You got 5, actually.
I was 6 out of 10, but you... I sparingly use the word gerrymandered now because it's become a bit of a faux pas.
It is.
But I'm warning you, any gerrymandering tonight, because it's Good Friday, and I'm a religious man.
Yes.
And
you're going to nail me to a cross.
I'm not going to nail you to a cross, but I will implore damnation on you if you become a cheating so-and-so.
As I say, the questions and answers are on one sheet of paper, which I've got here. I'll wave it in front of you.
I believe that when I see it.
Now, as ever, if you get one correct, you will hear this sound.
That lunatic, whoever he is changing the complexion of the race.
And if you get one wrong, you'll hear this sound.
Clearly, either a bit too much beer there or he's hit his head on something.
Very good. All right, ready for question number 1?
Of course I'm ready.
Who is currently racing for Toro Rosso, aged just 17?
The youngest ever man to pick up points in a Formula One motor racing race.
That would be right, yeah. What's his name?
He's, I think he's German.
I don't care where he comes from. I'm asking for his
German
name.
Or he's Dutch.
Yeah, well, I don't care where he's from. I'm asking for his name. You're an expert on this, remember?
Hang on a second.
And this is, this was only last weekend.
His name's Thomas.
Incorrect.
Clearly either a bit too much beer there or he's hit his head on something.
His name is Max Verstappen.
And is he German?
I think he might be. Something with a name like that. Question
his
number 2.
His middle name's Thomas.
I don't care what his middle name is.
His middle name's Thomas. I remember reading the profile on him.
That's not correct.
I think that's half a point.
Question number 2. Which venue has been added this year to the Formula 1 circuit?
China.
Incorrect.
Clearly
that's not incorrect.
A bit too much beer there or he's hit his head on something.
It's not incorrect.
Yeah, it's wrong. It's the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City.
In Mexico?
Yeah. Mexico's been added this year.
Well, yeah, but China has as well. There's 2 being added this year. There's 2. No, you've got to check that answer.
No, I
China.
check it.
China's on my mind.
No,
I remember saying that.
China's not.
I remember thinking that.
No, well, I'll get these guys to check it, but my understanding is Mexico City. Question number 3.
It won't happen, the Mexico City one.
Won't happen.
Something will go wrong. It'll get too hot or something. Go on.
Well, it's not till the autumn, I don't think. Question number 3. Which team won the Constructors' Championship in 2005?
2005?
Yeah.
No, it's 2015. That's 10 years ago.
That's right.
So that would have been...
your memory was probably quite good then.
Hang on. That would have been, I think, let me see, 4 years of Vettel. 1 year of Hamilton. That's 5 years back. And then 5 years before that. I reckon that might still have been... No, it wasn't the Schumacher era. He retired and come back. So it was Alonso's year, so it must have been, I think it was McLaren.
I'll tell you what, I'll give you half a point for that, because it was Fernando Alonso, but it was Renault. I'll give you half a point for that.
A bit too much beer there or he's hit his head on
So you
something.
get half a
But
point
you see, the
out
problem
of 3.
is that is a bum question.
Why?
Because...
Renault won the Constructors' Championship, that's the answer.
No, it's not.
You're lucky I'm giving you half a point.
No, because what sort of engine it was is different to the team, if you see what I mean. So it's probably a Renault engine, but it might...
Well, they won the Constructors' Championship.
I'm not sure about that.
Team Renault.
I'm not sure about that.
Question number 4.
Right, okay.
What is the size of Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes engine?
It's 2 litres.
Incorrect.
No, it's not. It's 1.6. I was thinking aloud.
Well, you said 2.
I didn't say that. That wasn't my answer.
You just said 2.
I didn't.
You're going to say you didn't say 2.
I didn't. I was thinking aloud. You won't allow me to think aloud. Then what can I do? I can't frustrate myself by letting all my ideas bounce around inside my bonds.
You want me to give you a point for that then?
Yes, please.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So next time
It
I'll
is
ask you...
1.6, isn't it?
I'll ask you... It is 1.6.
Thank you.
Question number 5. But you only said that because I said 2 litres was wrong.
No, I didn't. I wasn't even...
You didn't say 2 litres?
I wasn't even looking at you. My head was down, my eyes were closed. I went 2 litres, and then you suddenly said what?
Incorrect.
And I said 1.6. No.
All right,
Definitely 1.6.
question number 5.
Yeah.
What is the longest circuit on the Formula 1 calendar?
Ooh, that would be... I think it's the one that's just happened. I think it's Malaysia. But hang on, I'm thinking aloud.
Well, if you're thinking aloud, I'm saying nothing. I'm not looking at you. You tell me when you've got your answer ready.
Okay.
You can say whatever you want, and I'm not giving you any clues by looking at you.
I think it could be Malaysia, or it could be Shanghai, or it could be... let me think. Maybe it could be Australia, or the one that goes around the lakes in Vancouver. That's Canada. I'm not sure they've even got a race. Malaysia.
Incorrect.
A bit too much beer there or he's hit his head on something.
It's the Circuit de Spa in Belgium.
Spa? Spa's 100 years old.
Well, it's the longest
circuit.
circuit.
That can be the longest circuit.
It's just over 7
I'm
kilometres.
I'm not sure about that. I mean, how do we define the longest?
Well, once around it.
No.
7 kilometres.
Oh, I thought you meant which is the longest Grand Prix.
Well, the Grand Prix is all the same length.
No, they're not.
You idiot.
No, they're not. They're not 26.2 miles like a marathon.
Well, they are all generally speaking the same length, aren't
Generally speaking, yeah, but I'm telling you the Malaysian one is the longest one. I want you to double check that, please.
No. Question number 6.
I'm querying that, Mike. Querying that. You're losing credibility.
No, I don't think so. Question number 6. What was the name of the 2013 movie about James Hunt and Niki Lauda?
It was called...
Here's a clue.
Rush.
Correct.
Thank you.
That lunatic, whoever he is changing the complexion of the race.
Every race is 305 kilometres. We've just checked it.
305 kilometres?
Yeah. Thank you very much indeed. Question number 7. Who was the last woman to race in Formula 1?
Last woman?
Yeah.
Last woman to race in Formula 1?
Yeah.
It's a really, really bizarre question.
Why is it bizarre?
Because
you're an expert on Formula 1.
Hang on. It was she was Italian, okay? Very, very good-looking lady.
I'm not saying anything because I don't know whether you're thinking aloud or not.
Her name was... let me just think about it. I think she died recently. She did. She died recently, unfortunately.
I'm saying nothing.
About a year ago in some terrible crash or something.
Oh, yeah.
After she'd stepped down from being a Formula One racing driver to go back to testing for one of the teams. And in fact, I think she was testing for McLaren, actually. And her name was Gina, something like that. Gina Isabella?
Gina Isabella.
Yeah.
Incorrect.
Clearly either a bit too much beer there or he's hit his head on something.
And it was a much longer time ago than that, so you weren't on the right track at all, if you'll pardon my pun. It was Alelia Lombardi, who started the last of her 12 Grand Prix in 1976.
She was Italian, wasn't she?
She was Italian.
See, got that right.
You
She
don't
got
get anything
half
for
point
that,
for that. I should.
OK, question number 8. Which team did Jackie Stewart win his championships for?
Now, he won 3 World Championships.
Yeah.
And were they all with the same team?
They were 2 teams.
2 teams. I reckon one of them was Lotus, and one of them was... Lotus was run in those days by Colin Chapman of Lotus, and the other one was... Now, did he race for Jaguar? Pa's car is a Jaguar, and it goes rather far. I'm just thinking aloud.
I can tell you're thinking aloud. You're getting quite an insight into the workings of your tiny brain.
Hang on. I'm saying Lotus, and the other one in those days was... Oh, don't exist anymore, do they? I think it was something like McLaren and Lotus.
Clearly either
Incorrect.
too much beer there or he's hit his head on something.
It was Matra and Tyrrell.
Tyrrell. That was Ken Tyrrell, the Australian, who formed his own team.
That's right.
But you see, the point is, they don't exist anymore.
Doesn't matter. That's what he won them in.
No, but today they would be McLaren and Lotus.
Well, they might be anything.
No.
It could be anything you like
that's
today.
what I'm saying. But you've got to
that he
you've
won
got to
those
understand
3 championships for were Matra
You've got
and
to
Tyrrell.
understand the emergence of the Formula One industry, like I do, to be able to weigh up that question.
If you want me to ask you questions about what might have been, that might be in a different quiz. Question number 9.
It's called evolution.
How many
racing.
points? How many points do you get for finishing second in a Grand Prix?
You get 25 for winning, and you get 18 for coming second.
Correct.
Hooray! Changing the complexion of the race.
So you got 3.5 out of 9 right now.
Right.
You could get 4.5.
Yeah,
out of 10.
Which is nearly 50% hit rate,
which makes you very proud.
Pretty
doesn't it?
fantastic.
Which is pretty useless for an expert.
Considering you've bent the questions.
Where
again.
was the first Formula One Grand Prix held?
I think it was at... Now, it was in Britain, so I'm thinking aloud. It was either Brands Hatch...
You're thinking aloud?
I'm thinking aloud.
When are you going to let me know?
Hang on.
Run out of time. We'll have to give you... have to hurry you.
No, it was either Brands Hatch... Or what's the place in What's the place in Northamptonshire
you
called?
Reckon?
What's the place?
Are you asking me a question?
I'm just asking.
You're not allowed to ask questions.
Hang on.
You just have to get the number right.
It was either
and the year as well. I want.
Or it might have been Goodwood. Or it could have been
a horse race.
No, they used to have a racetrack there. They had a racetrack around the horse racing venue. Or I'm going to say Brands Hatch.
Incorrect.
Clearly either a bit too much beer there or he's hit his head on something.
Silverstone.
I said Silverstone.
When?
I asked you what was the name of the track in Northampton.
Well, I can't answer that.
Well, you should have given me a hint or a clue.
Why?
I can see it on the...
Why should I give you a clue?
Going up the M1, I can see the sign now for Silverstone. That was outrageous.
You've already somehow screwed.
You let me talk myself out of the answer there.
No, I didn't.
It's disgraceful.
You've already screwed yourself an extra 1.5 points.
Absolutely disgraceful. Well, I should get at least half a point for that.
Why?
I said to you the track in Northampton. I was thinking aloud.
I don't care.
But because I couldn't instantly get to my head, I said Brands Hatch.
You told me to disregard anything when you were thinking
No,
aloud.
I didn't.
You said when you're thinking aloud, I shouldn't count it.
I didn't at all. I didn't. Once
that
again,
wasn't your final answer.
What?
That wasn't your final answer. You were thinking aloud.
You screwed me over
If you want me
again.
to take that one as thinking aloud, then I'll take the one away that you were thinking aloud from before.
No.
You'll still end up with 3.5.
No. That's outrageous. It's outrageous. I was going to say Silverstone, but I couldn't remember the name of it.
Well, that's not my fault.
It is your fault.
3.5 out of 10. Absolute shambolic.
Do you know why it's your fault? Because I have to be so mentally pliable when your questions are so bent that I can't think straight.
Yeah, well,
and when I can't think straight, I don't get the right answers.
You can't think straight anyway.
I can think straight. I think straight in every way.
3.5 out of 10. We'll find out what quiz subject we decide to go for next week. We are the two mics.
I want some complaints from some listeners, please.
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
All right, try and get over your disappointment and your failure and
Failure,
move on.
failure.
And I've got an idea for you. Okay, the reason we're playing that song. I don't know if you saw this story about Al Pacino, who's coming to Britain.
Yeah.
Don't you know? For an audience or an evening rather with Al Pacino. But in addition to going to see him perform on the stage, rather like the two mics are going to be doing.
Oh right, okay.
I don't know if he's playing the Portsmouth Guildhall, but he might be.
No.
But he's also put up a menu for personal attention of people with a lot of money or more money than sense. If you're willing to pay £25,000, you can have a trip with him on a private jet.
What?
Right? If you pay $7,500, you can have lunch with him.
£7,500 to have lunch with Al Pacino?
£7,500, to have lunch with Al Pacino. $2,500.
And who pays the lunch bill?
Well, probably you.
Yeah, exactly.
£2,500 for 20 minutes in his dressing room.
No.
Or £225 just for a ticket to see him on stage.
Really?
How about that?
Well,
I think you might be missing a trick here.
Hey, I'm just saying. I'm going to go on to the Guildhall people in Portsmouth tomorrow and say, first of all, much bigger dressing room, please.
Yeah.
Full of the sort of stuff that Clarkson has in his dressing room, all sorts of different flavours of wine and food and Xboxes.
Proximity
and all that.
to McDonald's, etc.
That's right. And then, why don't we do it this way? Why don't we say, I don't know, £200 for 15 minutes in the dressing room? Yeah.
What, with you? Or both of us?
No, it's both of us.
Really?
Yeah, and then they will be dazzled by our miraculous banter.
You must be joking.
No, £200 for 15 minutes in the dressing room, but we're limiting it to good-looking women only. How about that?
No, I think that sounds a bit
sexist. Does that sound a bit sexist?
Yeah,
it is a bit sexist. Okay. I withdraw that. I'm sorry.
I think you should withdraw
I withdraw
I think lunch
immediately.
is a better one, but the difference between lunch with Al Pacino and lunch with us is that lunch with Al Pacino only goes on for 2 hours. Lunch with us takes all day.
Yeah, and also lunch with Al Pacino...
And you might have to organise an ambulance at the end.
Exactly. Lunch with Al Pacino probably involves mineral water, whereas we don't know what mineral water is. And
Tap water only we have.
You're quite right. And lunch with us will also, the health and safety people say, and you've got to have a respirator very close to the table.
Defibrillator and an ambulance.
And an ambulance and a stretcher and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And
some of that rehydrating stuff that you get to keep your liver going.
That's right. But you see, what we should do is, Mike, when we get on stage at the Guildhall in Portsmouth, we should actually say, by the way, we are taking bids for lunch tomorrow. We're staying over in Porky's place tonight.
Right.
And you can...
Is that right? Is that where we're staying? Am I staying at your place then?
No, you're not staying at my place.
Well, why have you just said that?
Oh, well, this is just for the audience purpose. I'll say we're staying.
I can stay in a locked room.
No, we don't have a locked room. And by the way, that's doing my reputation no good. They all think I'm a bit of a weirdo.
Well, you have got a locked room.
They think I've,
why do you keep denying it?
No,
there's nothing wrong with having a locked room. I mean, if I brought you to my place, I'd probably have a locked room as well.
There are no locks on any of my doors. What I'm saying is, we could auction off on the stage the fact that we're going to have a little party the next day at my place, okay?
Yeah.
Although you won't be staying at my place, we'll put you up in a hotel nearby.
It's very kind of you.
You come over at lunchtime the next day,
Does the ferry work on a Sunday?
Sorry?
Does the ferry work on a Sunday?
Ferry works on a Sunday, no problem at all. And
not like a Sunday service.
Why don't we sell off a guest spot at the party in the Porky Penthouse for $1,000 maybe?
Well, I don't think. You see, this is where you've got things wrong. You see, because you immediately assume that the best people will be the ones that have got that kind of money to throw around.
Of course I do.
See, who am the genuine...
I don't want any sort of
riff-raff.
No. I don't.
That's what you mean.
No, I don't.
That's what you mean.
No, I don't want.
You're supposed to be the man of
the average people.
Yeah, but you think it's somebody who can throw £1,000 away on coming to have lunch with you, or to be entertained by you.
Yes, I do.
Is somehow not an average person.
No.
He just means he's wealthy. I don't necessarily want just wealthy people. I think what you should do is open it to people who can afford a much smaller amount of money, or how about no money at all?
Well, why would we want to do that?
Well, why wouldn't you want to mingle with the people that you like?
Well, I'd like to mingle with them and all that, but I mean, I only feel comfortable really in the company of people I know and who I work
people.
with. Well, no, I was about to say, unless they want to pay me £1,000, then I get to know them very quickly, and they're very welcome.
That's a typical kind of Porky way of looking at the world. You want to hang out with somebody who's paying you to hang out with them. That's appalling.
Well, not really. I see it the other way around. I see it as giving them an opportunity to broaden their cultural education by spending an hour, because they only get an hour for £1,000, in our company. Don't you see it that way?
No, I don't. I think that's exploitative and dreadful. I'd rather we put together a sort of a plan to come up with £7,500 over lunch with Al Pacino. Actually,
well, that'd
be great.
Well, that would be $15,000 then, wouldn't it?
Why would it? 7.5 each, is it? Isn't it just 7.5 for the table?
No, I think it's a one place at the table. That's the way I read it.
That's an expensive lunch.
I tell you what, you talk about money and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
I read a report last week. Nice guys finish last.
Yeah, I think that's true.
They finish last in the pay stakes. They finish last in the promotion stakes. They finish last
romance stakes as well.
The romance stakes. They finish last in the worthiness of their existence in life.
Yeah.
So,
But they might be happy because they're nice, though.
No, I don't think they are. I mean, I have always tried to be a nice guy, but...
Rubbish.
No, I have.
You are about as far removed from a nice guy as I can imagine.
Oh, that's very unkind.
You are not nice.
Well, how come I'm kind to animals?
Well, because it makes you feel good. I've told you that before.
How come I give away...
You're not kind to animals. You wanted to kill a load of animals off. You wanted to ammonia spray your street so that dogs couldn't actually do their business there.
Well, if there are dirty dogs in the street, they're going to get the ammonia spray.
Well, that's not kind to animals.
That's full on as well.
That's not being kind to animals.
Next time I see a dog and it's misbehaving, it'll get it in the face. I won't just put it on the pavement.
Well, if you spray any ammonia anywhere near my dog, I'll instruct it to savage you.
Well, you just make sure you teach your dog to behave properly. I knew a guy I worked with once at...
Your whole life has been punctuated by bust-ups that you've had with people, by people who...
nobody's going to push me around.
Like that guy at the
I'm not going to let people push me around. I stand up for myself.
Like that guy at the Daily Express who met you after all those years, still harboured a huge grudge against you. But, you haven't been... Right, he fired loads of people, you've been rude to people.
He was a mad Scotsman. He had a couple of wines. I know. Can I have a word with you, please, in the corner? No, I want to tell it again. Go over the corner. Yeah, what is it, Jim? I didn't like you then, and I don't like you now.
Exactly. And the world
that was the end of his speech.
And the world is listening.
And then when I didn't say anything, I just stood there grinning with my glass in my hand. He just turned on his heels and went. But he went back to a group of little fans of his, you know what I mean?
Right.
Who'd put him up to it in his drink.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to go and tell Parry
who also
you
didn't like you either.
Oh, they all hated me. They all hated me. All rabid bunch
you're not a nice guy, then, are you?
Rabid bunch of losers.
People don't hate nice guys. They like nice guys.
No, but I worked with a chap once who was a good guy, very good guy in a media organisation I worked for.
Yeah.
He was a top guy, and he was also titularly the editor of this organisation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He was such a nice guy. I couldn't believe it. He wouldn't discipline anybody. He wouldn't, pull people up for things that were going wrong.
Yeah.
He wouldn't introduce a disciplinary code.
He was just too nice.
He forgave everybody for their excesses. He believed people when they rung
including you,
up.
presumably.
Hang on. He believed people when they rung up and said they were ill. He overlooked people's stupidity and inefficiency.
So you were his hitman, were you?
I was, yeah.
So you did his dirty business.
I had to go and do his dirty work because he couldn't do it for himself.
Well,
I tell you,
it
is very necessary.
That is not the work of somebody who is a nice guy.
Here, listen to this. This report says friendly people who try to be nice to their colleagues generally receive lower wages than their less agreeable colleagues. Despite working just as hard, they're often reluctant to push for a pay rise. They're too focused on teamwork and overly concerned about being liked by the rest of the workforce.
Yes.
Who'd want to be liked?
Well, you would like to be liked.
No,
but unfortunately, your personality is such that you can't actually be liked.
It is not a primary concern to me that people like me. Why should I want to be liked?
Because it makes you, flatters you. It flatters you. You like to walk into a room, right? Because you honestly believe, in a way, that you do provide some kind of technicolor, eye-opening experience to people whose lives are generally monochrome,
I think I'm more interesting than most people on Earth.
Yeah, I know you do.
Right?
But you're not.
And
I
like to improve people's lives by giving them some of my interesting views.
Yeah, but not everybody cares about your interesting views.
Well, they can leave the room if they don't want to listen.
But that doesn't mean they like you.
Listen, it also says here, the impact of personality on workers' productivity and pay is very important. It shows that women were most likely to show agreeable traits, and that could be one of the reasons we still have the gender pay gap in this country.
Is that right?
Now, that's disgraceful to discriminate against women.
Let me read you some messages of assistants that have come in since you did the quiz.
Yeah.
Lee in South Wales says, Porky wanted complaints about the quiz, so here it is. The quiz was too easy this week. Mr. Parry, that was pathetic for an expert.
That's a terrible thing
Paul
to accuse
says
me
this,
of.
as a Formula One expert, that quiz was incredibly straight. China has been there for the last few years, and no one would say Schumacher won his first championship with what became of Benetton unless they were an idiot.
Benetton, the colours of Benetton. I didn't say anything.
No, I know,
but
you're alleging that Jackie Stewart's wins should have been credited to some other team because it didn't exist back then. And here's one
what
from
is
John.
Benetton these days?
John, well, Benetton was always a shop chain, wasn't it?
Yeah, I know, but what's the Benetton racing team called these days?
I've no idea. I presume from what he's saying, he's talking about Ferrari, is he?
No. Schumacher left Benetton and went to Ferrari.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I'm not an expert on Formula
Benetton
1.
was run by that mate of mine who was described as the most perfect playboy ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know the guy who had the
mate of yours?
Yeah, the Millionaires Club he had in Sardinia, still has. He has an estate in Kenya. He has his own yacht.
Oh, yeah.
What's his name?
Oh, it's not Aspinall, is it?
No. What's his name? His name was...
He's got the place. He's got the safari park.
Yeah, he has. Yeah, no, long blonde hair. And he partly ran QPR. didn't he, for a while?
Oh,
remember?
yeah, I know who you mean, yeah.
And his big mate was, the big
Spanish.
tall...
Are you talking about the Italian guy?
Yeah, Italian, yeah.
Yeah, I know
and one of his mates was the big tall
how's he your
model.
mate?
Well, I kind of got to know him through circles, you know what I mean? Yeah,
indeed.
Yeah. I can't remember his name.
No.
She knew what it was.
I know you can't.
But anyway, that's by the by. Point is, I thought it was a credible effort.
I don't think so. Now, the other thing that's been pointed out was another correction. Paul in Mitcham. I can't believe we didn't think of this.
It's not far from me.
Are you guys sure that the word bread in the Alec Guinness letter wasn't being used as slang for money? That
sure
would make
was.
sense. And in fact, I think that's right.
I'm sure it was.
I think that's what you were talking
your
about.
Stupidity.
Because apparently Yahoo
was
was not the search engine, but it was in fact a play that he was working on.
That's right. Now,
well, go on then. I've got something Easter to tell you about.
Oh, yeah, go on, please, yeah.
Do you know in Colombia,
Colombia?
for Easter Day, which I presume is Easter Sunday...
cocaine eggs?
No, they don't have cocaine eggs. Instead of chocolates and eggs, they dine on iguana, turtles and rodents for the feast. Maybe that's why they have to take so many drugs before because they can all go, actually, not very hungry.
Yeah, fancy rat's testicles or something.
Yeah. In Germany, Easter eggs are displayed on trees and prominently in streets. In Hungary, you might like this one, Hungarian women get a water splash on Easter Day as per the tradition. Basically, the men pour water on traditionally dressed women.
Really?
Yeah, they just chuck water on them.
That sounds a bit weird to me.
It does.
Right, now, it's the start of Easter because it's Good Friday.
Yeah.
We are, in fact, we can reveal to the audience, going to a think tank situation at lunchtime today, aren't we?
A little later on, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not sure about think tank.
Well, there's only going to be two thinkers there. It's you and me.
There's a bit of tank.
Yeah, and a bit of tanking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that'll
why
be
not?
going on.
Absolutely.
Yes. So we'll have to have a bit of sleep in between. And then, of course, you'll return on Easter Monday, when some people think it's a bank holiday as well.
Yeah,
but,
it's not.
But we
not
never
for
stop.
us. No.
We never stop. There's lots of other stuff. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. People have told you to stop whining, by the way, about this. Here's one from John, the commentary fan.
Yeah.
Parry should be a politician. Lies, question avoidance, and more lies.
No.
So that's pretty much it.
Not me.
Look at the light!
Don't forget to follow the Two Mics at the Two Mics on Twitter and on YouTube. Just look for Two Mics TV. You're thinking of volunteering to have yourself nailed to a cross.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
I think if we ask people to volunteer to nail the nails into your hands, we'd literally have a queue round the block.
Well, I think it'd be easier to do it with a Black & Decker, wouldn't it? Really, because
what, a nail gun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I don't think that's very holy though.
Well, it's not holy, but I mean, it'd be more effective and less painful, I would imagine.
I don't know.
Because I would imagine that the shockwave of the hammer hitting the nail 3 or 4 times is what really hurts.
Oh,
if you've got a nail gun, and just went boof like that, I don't think you'd feel it. Mind you, you'd probably be able to get the nail out afterwards. That's the problem.
No, you just have to walk around nailed to a cross the rest of your life.
Well, I just saw a bit off the cross, wouldn't I? You just have like wooden gloves.
Yeah.
Do you know that trees in the northern hemisphere actually communicate with trees in the southern hemisphere through their roots? Because the root of a tree can go all the way around the world.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.